Next item on the agenda
Excuse me?
is adjournment. I entertain a motion for adjournment. The motion's been made by Councilman Brown. Do I have a second by,
I would second that, but I was just gonna ask if you had any decisions to make.
you don't,
You don't have to
have to make that statement.
Thank you.
Do I have a second? Yes. Okay, second by Councilman Roddy. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. We're now adjourned, and we'll go into work session. Katie, do you have anything at this time?
Nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you. Lynn?
Nothing further.
Okay, we will now start the 2015 budget draft. Drum roll.
There we go. All right. Well, what you have in front of you is actually a combination of two different budgets. I like to actually start with the end of the process, actually. The one that says State of Kansas City on it looks like this, financially. This is actually, it comes out of the state budget form, probably at the back of what you've got there. Yeah, that's that one, right. Yeah, let's say you have top, it'll say notice of budget hearing. City of, right, and it says budget summary in it, which in fact is what it is. That kind of just summarizes their entire budget that we would submit to the county and onto the state. And that's the same format that's been used for years and years, probably decades now, with a few minor changes, I think. So anyway, why I want to start there is because what it shows you is, as if you read it across, it shows you that 2013, the estimated year for the current year, where we estimate to be in 2014, and then the final column to your right is proposed budget for 2015, which is what we're here to talk about. And as you read down, you can see all the different funds, and of course you read across, you see the mill levies at the top. We only have four funds, actually, well, three, because we don't have any debt service. So the general fund, library, and employee benefit that have mill levies that support them, and you can see what 3 years of that would be. The key thing there is, of course, to see the actual tax rate, which is that mill levy. So 2013, you see on the general fund is 27.8, and then in 2014 is 27.3. If you go all the way to the right out there, what you're looking at there is an estimated mill rate in the general fund. You'll notice it goes from that 27 to 60.8. Now that's done not to shock you or whatever. What that means is that if we were to fund everything from all the requests, it would have an impact on the general fund around your mill levy. That's what would happen. Your general fund would go from that 27.3 to 60.8. I'm not going to recommend we do that. And if you read in the middle of this, your totals, you can see that the actual rate total is 47.9, and it goes 47.4, which is the current one. It would jump all the way to 74.5. I mean, so the bottom line is way down there in the right-hand corner. You go from that, 47 mils to 74.5. So, essentially, you're jumping close to 30 mils in one. Now, that's not going to happen. I mean, we're not that realistically not going to see that sort of thing. But what this does is actually show you the projected revenues, because we do have the overall assessed valuation for the city, which again went slightly up, which it tends to do year after year. We do see that slight rise in it. So that's the good part. A lot of cities have seen a decline in their assessed valuation, so they see a decline in their actual. So they have to actually adjust the rate because their actual values are going down. We're not in that position. Our sales tax, as we'll see when we go through that, is up too. So, but this, if we were to fund everything to this is sort of a maximum budget at this point, and it's probably easier to work backward, just throw things out than it is to add them. That's been my experience. So that's why I'd like to start there. So, of all the budget requests from all the departments that have a impact on your mill, that's what you would jump to. So, when we're talking about the funding all the different things that we have that are in the operating budget as it exists right now, that would be the impact. What the finance director has done is taken the numbers out of here, the fund balance is there, and transfer them out to the state. You're actually working with two different forms, which makes this even more of a challenge than you normally would think it would. But anyway, that's it. So, is there any questions about there? Is that completely confusing way to start this?
all the department heads submit what they would like to do.
Right, the maximum amount,
Okay.
yeah.
And, you know, they want new trucks and this and that, and
Right.
they get got no. The impact would be an
That's
additional
right.
30 mils, basically.
Right, close to it, yeah. 37 million, or 27 million. That's the total amount.
What would that be, an increase on $100,000 home?
Good question. We can actually figure that. They do actually have part of this spreadsheet, they do have a calculation where you can actually figure that. So we can, I don't have that with me, but you can actually, yeah, you can actually plug those numbers in and see what the actual impact would be on $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 home. Yeah, I don't know what the off the top of my
I
head.
figured it up
Quite a
on
jump.
mine, it'd be $600 and some a year.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it's your job to take the no pin and whittle that.
Well, traditionally, yeah, that's what we've done. So yeah, you can see that the 47.9 or some 47.4, we actually went down like half last year. We've been in the, like the 46 to 49 range for, at least a decade or even going back. We've been in the middle, the upper 40s for a number of years, and that's where we've been. I think sometimes we've touched around 50, but it's been rare. So, and what has saved us is that the assessed valuation has gone up. And what kind of works in our benefit this year is you can see that the employee benefit doesn't need as much mill levy because we got that big refund from Blue Cross Blue Shield, so we're not gonna have that strain, because the employee benefit fund has kind of struggled in the past because that, everything seems to go up, whether it's papers or Blue Cross Blue Shield or whatever else is going on, Social Security, whatever, that seems to go up every year, and we struggle to, fund all of that. But this, we got really helped out by our health insurance this year. So, it doesn't look like we're gonna have to, devote as quite as much as there. The library is gonna, most likely, they're gonna stay in that range that they have been there between 6.5, I think they can go up to 7 is what we've capped them at. So, but the real big impact there would be on the general fund, and that's because of all the requests that would be coming out of the operating fund. So that's the big change. Otherwise, everything else mainly remains the same. You can also look down here as you go, on this, it's always the first page I turn to in the budget because it actually will then show your special highways, special parks and rec, economic thing, all that. And so you can actually see where you, water, waste, water pollution, all electric, and all those also fall in there too. But those do not have an impact on your property tax. That's why they're listed separately down there. Only the top 4. And in our case, we don't have any debt service that's funded property tax. It's all coming from another source, so that doesn't even count. We only have 3 funds that are on that. But just to make you aware, that 74.5, that would be quite a jump in 1 year. So I don't really expect it to be anywhere near that. So anyway, any more questions about that to move on to each one?
Is it,
As long as you go.
I want to make sure that I'm understanding this right, because when I was clerk, sorry to say that again, I never had to do a budget. I was included in it, but I never had to produce one. Now, that was the city administrator's job. Is that, say like we started in March, the guys brought their things to us. We go and talk it over, the guys do with the city administrator, they mark out a few things
Right.
and so forth. Is there anything that you just absolutely have crossed out that people have, say like for instance, Kendall Francis, before he left, he gave you a budget. Did you guys go through his budget and do any cutting, major cutting after he left?
No, not at all. I mean, he water, wastewater part of the budget, so, just using those projections off of there, no, we haven't thrown anything out of there.
So do you go in and you do the actual changing, or does Amanda?
We both do actually. I mean, in the end, we're gonna have to live within whatever it is that's approved as far as the mill levy. So, yeah, we always have to throw out, tremendous,
Yeah.
a lot of things actually from the request, because you just can't fund them with the current mill levy.
Yeah, all right, and your statutory budget, your spending authority, is that different for each one of the departments?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's all I'm gonna know.
Yep, all right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is, the budget you're seeing now is without me or anything else on it to say, no, you can't have that yet.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we haven't done that, we haven't done that. I didn't throw anything out. What I wanted you to see was, that kind of came out of the sort of general discussion we had with our goal setting. That's, we felt like things have been, not just ignored, but they haven't been, they haven't been on the front burner yet. And it seemed like a lot of people didn't know exactly what all the department requests were. Because we just kind of talk about them, and then we never really kind of get to the point where we're coming here and presenting in some form and saying, look, this really needs to be taken care of with this piece of equipment, or, the other things we're talking about. So that's why we decided to do a little different this time, just come in, rather than have me taking a red pen and saying, you can't get that piece, whatever. We just start from here and show you the same thing, and then all at once, there's different ways to do this. No question.
So do you know how much we would lose? And we'd have to raise the mill levy to stay at the same funding for expenditures?
At the same funding, you would, we actually did, an alternative budget. You'd stay at about, if you were to, right now, with the growth in the assessed valuation, the way they're doing it now, they actually cap you at the inflation rate. So you can only go up about 1.5%. We would gain about $23,000 if we just kept the same mill rate that you got now. So for our property tax, you would gain about $23,000.
Okay,
That's
I
about
must be
it.
confused then, where it says assessed valuation. Is that this year's valuation? This is the one we're basing our mill levy on?
Which you base it, they're always a year behind, actually.
Well, yeah, but it's gone down since.
That's
last year.
because of the way they do that. It actually went up slightly because, like I said, because of the cap, where they show it actually being slightly down. It's just the way they now calculate that when it gets to the sheet. But if the actual overall assessed valuation is slightly off. So it looks off when it gets to this point. I actually noticed that too when we're doing the budget. But if we were just to keep the 47.5 or 47.4 the way it is, you'd gain about another $20-something thousand in property tax. With, just staying where you are, which wouldn't get you too far. I mean, it's not a whole lot of money.
How much did you say the mill is now?
Well, the mill's around 23,000, just slightly over 23,000. Because we're about, the overall assessed valuation is just a little over 23 million, and the mill, is at 23,000 for each one of those. That's all it really means. So anyway, that's where we're at as far as beginning. In the first couple of sheets that you're looking at there, that's the first one that you got in the operating budget. You would see the budget for 2015 going forward, and that's all the revenue we would expect going forward into 2015. And you can see going back to 2010, because it's the actual working budget that we've worked with. And that's basically the general fund right there, and you see what we expect as far as the revenue goes. So we're not in a bad position. We try not to overestimate things like sales tax. You see the local sales tax kind of in the middle of the page of that 425,000. The good news is sales taxes continue to grow, so we have a pretty good retail sector. But you're not really going to get out there. Sales tax can be very up and down too. It's 1 year more. I mean, property taxes is pretty well set. I mean, we get pretty much what we left for. But sales tax can be volatile depending on what the economy's doing at a given time. And the rest of it's just kind of the normal other things that we get throughout the year. We do have some franchise fees. Of course, we did raise those a little bit here and motor vehicle tax, and just the other ones that are thrown in. So that's how we get to that in the revenue side. So that's kind of straightforward, and it's what you'd see almost any year that you're doing this type of budget. And that's where you got to start, though, is on the revenue side. So.
Do the alcohol licenses not have anything for budget 215, because last year it was budgeted for $1,100, or for 2014. And the actual for 2013 was 1,650, and there's nothing there.
Yeah, yeah, we could, I'm sure it'll generate something, but,
Yeah.
yeah, we could plug something in there.
Reading across this form, where it gives the different years,
Mhm.
at what point does it become just actual numbers instead of, could we have a 2010 actual and just a budget for 2011, so budget 2012,
Yeah.
actual, budget, actual.
Yeah, well, normally it's when we get the audit and we're able to plug those in, so like for 2014, once we get that, yeah, I'm not sure we don't have, an actual on the 11 and 12 yet on this one. And I think in the past, we had some problems matching that up, so I remember back in back at that point, so, I'm sure of the current numbers here, 12, 13, and the budget for 14, I'm not so sure about those going back there, so probably would be the reason for that. But anyway, that's the revenue portion of this, so they kind of give you an idea of where we're going. And going on from there, we start with administration. What you're seeing there isn't going to be all that much different, as far as, what we're planning on doing. Of course, the big things are the totals and the subtotals for each one of these things. So,
Professional services, you raised quite a bit. About $7,000.
okay, no.
On that,
Is that-
I try to correlate it with our 2013 actuals.
Oh,
Yeah, you see that.
I've been trying to,
Yeah,
on
look at
ours
budget,
anyways.
then look
Yeah, the
back.
budget was for
Yeah.
14, and we're only halfway through the
Yeah.
fiscal year at this point, so.
How did we calculate what we would need to increase the salary line?
Well, the way we always do it is counting the step increase that we've done plus the merit that we've done in the past too. So, I think we approved the 1.9, I think was our inflation rate that we calculated into that. And then plus merit raises. So we assumed.
Lynn, can you or Mandy tell me what is all included in that professional service?
Well, a great deal of stuff, just.
I mean,
mainly-
just give me a couple of them.
Drug testing program, although it doesn't, accumulate to that kind of money, but, just off the top of
Just
my head.
different things like that.
Yeah,
Okay, that's all-
comprehensive plan
that's
and
what-
stuff like that.
Okay.
And the technical services, what comes under there?
Any more about anything that we have, like our,
Computer, stuff like
Yes.
that.
all of it, like our service agreement with Networks Plus and different
Web.
things.
Web.
Or web, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's all with them, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a reason that on 5310 telephone, it went down $4,600 from this year, and it's been up and down, but between $9,000 and $10,000?
Yeah, I rearranged some things last year.
Pardon me?
I rearranged some of the things last year. We had AT&T in as well.
Yeah, we actually dropped a number of lines that we felt we didn't need anymore, some of the other things, since we use, cell phones and other things now, I think we had some lines that people had still been paying for, which we really didn't think we needed anymore, so I think we dropped a lot of those.
It's pretty nice savings, isn't it? Just telling us,
Well, Glenn, the last 2 years I've asked to have 10,000 put in the budget for sidewalks.
Mhm.
Is it in there?
One of the things you have to do for the curb and gutter, is the way it's been explained to me as far as that program goes. The council created that program and then decided to pull the funding. And I think it was because we saw a decline in our gas tax at some point. And so they just kind of moved that money out of there and devoted it to something else. Now, since that was council creation to do that, that's something we need to talk about as we go forward. I can't do that by myself. I can't, as the administrator, put that funding back in without council approval, because the council took that out. So the council will have to come back and when we do the final budget and put that in. So, yeah, we can put any amount we want.
In other words,
Yeah,
we're
the
gonna
council
do this
did-
again so we can get it in.
Yeah, right, this is the first draft of it, so.
You know, I think we need to look at too with that walking or sidewalk program that we just voted on today.
Right,
That's very gonna be-
you might want to include that in the Safe Routes to School grant that they were just, we were talking about earlier
Yeah.
in the
And
evening.
how big of a dent is $10,000 gonna put in when we're hearing a couple $100,000 for the grant? I mean, to me.
Well, not much, it's less than half a mil, only 10,000.
No, but I'm saying, is $10,000 gonna be really any impact on that at all, considering how much it's costing us just to do 7th Street and 12th Street?
No, because there were, the local match for, if we're successful in that grant, it would be about 40,000.
Of in kind? or-
Of in kind, yeah, and the materials and whatever, gonna be what they're gonna be at that point. So we would probably have at least, 10,000 into that as far as concrete or
Well,
whatever.
what this here is now, this is half and half, or what you might say. We pay for the concrete, people do their own work.
Right, yeah, we cost share on the concrete, yeah. Up to a
So
certain
that
amount,
wouldn't,
yeah.
that wouldn't apply to that grant.
No, no.
No, see, it's
But
a
what I'm
different-
saying is, we'll have some expense going into that,
Right,
that sidewalk program that we voted on.
right, yeah. I think that's
There will be quite a bit of sidewalks getting taken care of.
Yes, right.
Right. Yeah, so when we get to that point, when we get to the final budget, I mean, that's what the council wants to do, is to refund the sidewalk program. You certainly can't do that, but, as I understand, it was council action that took that out, so you're gonna have to bring that back in. And to basically refund the program. It still exists, we just haven't voted the funding in since probably about 8 or 10 years ago was what's happened. So it was just, adopting a budget to refund,
And it's usually 25,000 that they put in there.
yeah.
Well, the trick is where we're taking it from.
Well, that, yeah, because it'll have an impact somewhere else, so,
Well, what I'm kinda getting at, if we do put that back in, see, this grant's only gonna last for what, how long, a year? Or,
We'll probably do it in two phases, probably 2 years, use their money 1 year to do the big portion, and ours would probably follow the next year.
what I'd like to see it just keep going, each year. And then, some of these sidewalks, they didn't want real quick, but, later on, there won't be any funds, and there might be some sidewalks that need to be fixed. And if we have that in the fund the whole time, every year, will we,
Yes, fix some of them.
be able to supply?
Bob, I completely agree with you on needing to get that money out of there. It's just, I think the work we gotta do is finding a place to put that dent in so we can
Yeah.
keep it in there. Yeah. Quite a bit to whack back.
Right, and if you want to continue a good program, and I think that is one, then you need to keep on, because we still get calls about it. Every once in a while, people want to know if that's still, and we say, yes, it's still active, but there's no funding in it. And that kind of confuses people, so then they don't come back, and they don't use it, so, that's a little bit difficulty on our part, but anyway, so yes, you can actually slide that in there at any amount that you want to do. Keep in mind that if we do get the Safe Routes to School, that's gonna be sort of a contribution again to sidewalks and whatever. Which is kind of what we've been talking about for the past few years as far as goals, is make the community more walker friendly, so to speak, more trails, more sidewalks and that sort of thing in there. But yes, it'll have an impact, if we're talking 25,000, that's approximately, another mill, slightly over that, so. But we can come back and revisit that anytime we want to do that, get to the end of this. So anyway, that's the administration portion of the deal. Yes.
You want to
try to explain to me one more time about this neighborhood revitalization and why that's costing $87,000?
Right, that is the rebate, and it comes out of, by state law, once you adopt that, it then, it comes out of your property tax, and it comes out of specific funds. Here, it'll come out of the general fund, it'll actually come out of, I believe, a couple other.
How long have you been doing that?
Oh, I don't know. It's a county program. It's up for renewal this August. I'm not sure they're gonna go out another 10 years or 5 years or what the plan is, but they're debating that right now.
The reason I'm asking is because there's blanks the rest of the way across that line.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we didn't pay up till now, why are we all?
No, it gets deducted out of our ad valorem taxes. Like when we get a check from the county for ad valorem taxes, they put out of there. That's where it comes from.
If it's
And
miss-
as
if it's
far
in-
as the state budget goes, it has to be deducted out of there, so you can actually levy more money to kind of make up for that. It has to reflect as that. It does it for any levied fund, the general fund, employee
Yeah,
benefit
I know
fund.
that it's in there several times, I just.
Yeah.
If they take it out before we get it, I'm not sure how we count that either way.
Well, it's a rebate to the, property owner that declined, and how that actually is accounted for. But we have to show it. I mean,
Do we show it as a revenue,
uh,
that $87,000?
No, that's actually, that's a minus here.
Yeah, I know that's a minus, I'm just wondering.
Right.
In order to offset that,
It would
if they've
offset
already
your
taken
property
it out,
tax.
huh?
It would offset your property tax, but on the state budget form, it has to reflect as an expense in the state budget form.
So that automatically is a mill levy, 3 mill levies, three mills that we have to count for just for that.
Right.
Okay.
I just have one quick question.
Mhm.
iPads for agendas, $5,000 for office equipment.
Mhm. All right.
What you doing there?
Good eye, yeah. That's what
I missed that?
Yeah. We had talked about
Page
that.
4.
There it is.
Yeah.
Right in front of you.
Yeah, we actually budgeted for that, whether we do or not, I'm not sure. That's been talked about, actually for a couple of years, we never actually did it. Instead of having paper agendas, we would go to electronic. Don't know if everybody's in favor of that, whatever, some people are more comfortable one way or the other.
Is that for council staff?
Yeah.
Council, or is that?
No, that'd be for the council.
Well, I've got my own.
Yeah.
I would say that could, in my opinion, take it out. And use for something else.
Okay, the real question is, if you're done,
For that part, yeah.
that's $111,000 more than what was budgeted this year, 23.1% increase. What's your priorities and what do you intend to take out of there to make that work?
You mean as far as making it balance, or, what?
Well,
what
make
would
it
we
balanced,
need to
with
give up?
making it balanced with something less than 74 mills.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. I mean, as far as this part of the budget, this administration part,
Well,
or,
it's,
yeah, we haven't got to the rest of it yet. I mean, that's.
yeah, no. So
Yeah.
you're not gonna take anything out of your request?
Well, like I said, we can cut some of the small items we were just talking about there.
Because that 23% increase is just in administration's
Right.
budget.
Right.
Well, actually,
And I
if you
know
would
that part
take
of
out,
it's the 87,000.
if you,
Right.
because the 87,000 represents the entire general fund.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it's not listed separately?
No, it's showing up in administration, but it's entire general fund.
And then also on the 16.5, on the transfer to the economic development, if you take those two, they're actually, of course, part of the general fund, but they're in a different area. It's just for our internal stuff. We've been putting.
But you show a transfer from that. economic
Yeah.
You show a transfer to that other fund.
Correct,
Mhm.
yes.
Yeah, and that's for internal purposes, but it does reflect the overall general fund item. So if you take those two and, you know, kind of add it up, I just wanted to highlight the 87,000 for the neighborhood revitalization, but that does represent the entire general fund. But other than that, like, I feel like the administration's operating budget is pretty conservative of what it has been. Those two items are not considered in it as far as our operating.
So that basically is what increases it, you know, 20% more, but in reality, it's really not much higher than we've done in the past, it's just adjusting a little bit for raises and whatever, so. Okay, the next one is the municipal